Hey, I'm Lara and this is Zero. Today I'm going to quickly answer a question that I've seen asked recently, and that was, what happens when your horse is going for your hand instead of the target when teaching a stick target? There's quite a few answers to this one. One of them, I will start by, are you using a bridge or a marker? It's the whistle or the clicker. That's what a bridge is. So it's the bridge between the behaviour and the reward. So I'm just going to show you me using a bridge and then show you without using a bridge. Zero only just has learnt this. Good. My bridge is the word good. Now think about what you're watching here and think about how the horse might be thinking, and I'm not going to use my marker or my bridge or my whistle. Okay, that shows that I have actually got no communication system. What we just did there was all mushed up into one thing. Touching this, having a moment of nothing and then getting a biscuit is all one thing. You have to understand that that is how your horse is thinking. So he didn't actually know the point of perfect. That's why you use a bridge or a marker. I'm going to call it a bridge so I don't keep saying the different words. So let's call it a bridge for today. If your horse doesn't understand the point of perfect, it means you're not communicating clearly to your horse. So if your horse isn't being communicated clearly and you're worried about your horse going for your hand instead of the target, if you mush it all up into one, your horse thinks, why should I touch that when I could just go straight to the biscuit? That's a shortcut, because to him there is no actual behaviour because you haven't communicated that clearly to him. So that's one thing. Check that you are using, excuse these flies, check that you are using a bridge in your training. It means that you are communicating clearly to your horse. Now, just to finish up on that topic, is to use a bridge, you need to teach a bridge. So before you teach behaviours, you teach a bridge. I do have a video on how to do that, so if you'd like to look for that one. Today is about the horse going for your hand instead of the target. Now there's another thing that you could possibly be doing that has taught your horse to go for your hand instead of the target, is if you are, for example, standing here as in the location next to your horse, and you're teaching your horse the target, and you've got the target in your left hand, and you go like this, good, and you're using a bridge, and for convenience you give him the biscuit with your right hand, good. I give the biscuit with my right hand. The horse isn't silly. He knows that every time I do this, if I keep doing it the same, he's like, the biscuit comes from the right hand, I might just start looking at the right hand instead of going for the target. So what you would do, a few things. You change location. Now there's another reason for changing location as well, but let's just stick to the hand problem. Good. Now I'm standing on this side, and for convenience again for myself without any thought, it's the opposite to what I was just doing. So if I was standing on this side and I keep repeating it with my left hand, no. What you do is you would do this. Good. Swap hands. Different hand. Good. Swap location. Swap location for the biscuit. Now if anyone is thinking, well, the biscuit came later because you stood in front of your horse, well, it doesn't matter that the bridge came later. Sorry, that the biscuit came later, because the biscuit is not the part that's telling my horse he's done it right. My bridge is what's telling my horse that he's done it right. So you need to make it random. Good. Left hand. Good. Left hand again. Good. Left hand again. I'm just speeding this up for the video point. He's already sick of that. Good. Now, what is something else that anyone has noticed is every time I had my stick in the left hand, I fed with the right hand, and every time I had my stick in the right hand, I fed with my left hand. You think the horse doesn't notice that? He does. He notices everything that you do. So if you've got the stick in your right hand, good. Feed with your left hand. Stick in the right hand, good. Feed with the right hand. Always make it different. That way your horse has no idea where the biscuit's coming from. He doesn't know which hand it's coming from, or he doesn't know when. He doesn't know if you're going to be standing here, or where the biscuit's coming from. But if your communication system is very clear, that means he understands the word good, or your whistle, or your clicker, whatever it is that you're using. You wouldn't have that problem in the first place. Now, there's actually two more things I was going to say that are answers to the hand problem. Now, the other thing is, if you are too repetitive and your horse is a little bit switched off, like Zero is this morning, he's just come out of the paddock this morning, and he's a little bit away with the fairies. Now, you could see a few goes ago, Zero was a little bit sick of it. So he was just going really slow and he wasn't really interested. You could see, I can see he's not interested. And to be honest, if I was trying to teach him a target right now and that's what he was showing me, I throw the target away and we do something different. Because you do not want to bore your horse. That's a really good way of your horse going, you know what, I'm not touching that thing, I just want the biscuit. So what you do is you get your horse moving, especially if they're a bit switched off and like half asleep like Zero was this morning. Moving his feet, it's the same as us. Moving our feet wakes us up, doesn't it? So you want to wake him up and make sure he's actually focused. If he's not focused, walk away. Don't even do the behaviour, go and do something else. Do, as in go for a ride, or just don't even work with your horse if that's all you're going to do for today. Good. So apart from moving their feet to change the subject, to get away from habits, bad habits forming, which is what you do before the habits start, by the way. You don't just wait for them to happen. The other thing is, if you're fixated on training one thing today because that's what I'm training today, no matter what, that's what I'm training today, it doesn't work like that. You need to do something different. Even if it's something useful, good, like picking up your horse's foot, it changed the subject. Did you see his interest in his face then was slightly different to before? He was a little bit more keen. It was only a little bit, but that's Zero for you because he's done this so much, he's a little sick of it. He knows when the camera's out that he's going to have to stand here for a little while. So change the subject. If things aren't going right, do something completely different, like lunging your horse, like anything. Just do something to change the subject. That will get him to refocus, because refocusing a horse is very important if things are starting to digress. But you need to be very, very switched on and notice if that's starting, so that you can nip it in the bud immediately, and or ideally don't do it until that happens. You should be aware of your time you're spending with your horse. Change the subject before that kind of thing happens, because you should not just focus on one thing all the time. It's also a good test that if you're training a target and you think your horse is getting it a little bit, you take that target away, do another behaviour, pick up the foot. Good. Uh-oh. Okay, I know what you're going to want to do. We're not going to do that now. Zero does a stretch. I don't want to do that right this second. Do something else. Make him completely think, what's going on? We're doing completely different things right now to what we started with. He's refocused. He's onto something different. Great way to start again. If things don't go well, stop it and end it there. So that was the third thing that I was suggesting. If your horse is starting to get a little bit focused on your hand rather than the behaviour. Now, the last one is probably the most important one, is that if your horse is going for your hand, there's several ways that your horse could be going for your hand. And if you are not able to read your horse and understand what type of going for your hand your horse is doing, now you could see Zero, he's kind of like puts his head in slow motion in this kind of general area and he's half asleep, and I've had him since he was born. He's only just about to turn 5, so I've known him that long and we've been doing this since the beginning. So I understand him, I know what he's like, I know he's not nasty, he's not aggressive, but in the early days when he was still a colt, he was a little bit that way. So what did I do? I made sure that he wasn't, because I'm not going to start positive reinforcement and feeding food rewards with a rude horse. So first things first is, if you are very inexperienced, ideally I suggest you don't do positive reinforcement until you've gone to get a few lessons on reading your horse, or you've spent enough time with your horse that you've understood him. You know what he's capable of, you know how to read his face, you know if he's angry, you know if he's about to charge you, all of those things. That's where you shouldn't be using positive reinforcement, because positive reinforcement needs to be for someone who's quite capable of reading and understanding their horse, which most of you are. But I do need to put that one in there, is that if you don't know and you have maybe just got your horse and he starts getting any kind of aggression, nip it in the bud, but you need to be the one to do that. So they are my suggestions on how to stop your horse going for your hand rather than the target. One of the biggest things is, out of all of what I just said, apart from the last one, if you just mix up those things, you should not have a problem. I hope that helped, and I'll see you on the next one. I think he's tired. He hardly did anything, but he's tired. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification, like and comment.